am here at the Rosa Parks Family Counseling Center in South Central Los Angeles. This is a place, like many across the nation, where a battered woman can call and get the help and counseling she needs to get through that difficult time. This is also a place that has reported a 50% increase in the number of complaints coming in ever since that desperate plea to 911 by Nicole Brown Simpson was aired all across the nation.
What is he doing? Is he threatening you?
He's going nuts.
Okay, has he threatened you in any way, or is he just harassing you?
You're going to hear him in a minute. He's about to come in again.
Okay, just stay on the line.
I don't want to stay on the line. He's going to beat the shit out of me.
Wait a minute, wait. Just stay on the line so we can know what's going on until the police get there, okay? Okay, Nicole?
Uh-huh.
That is one call few of us will ever forget, and unfortunately, it's a call that many women in this nation can relate to. We understand that calls of domestic violence coming into hotlines like this one are up some 80% across the nation ever since Nicole Brown Simpson was murdered. And consider these FBI statistics, that every 15 seconds, a woman in this nation is beaten by a husband or a boyfriend, and 6,000 of those women die every year. Domestic violence is an issue that cannot be ignored, and we think it is definitely something worth talking about right now in Rolonda. In our week-long live coverage of America watching the O.J. Simpson case, we've heard time and time again people worrying that the issue of domestic violence is going to be overshadowed. Well, we think that this issue of domestic violence is so extremely important that we have decided to devote our entire show to the issue today. Our phone lines, let me remind you, are open, and we certainly want to hear from you all across the nation. Come and join this important conversation. Lori Turner knows about domestic violence. She has suffered quite a few slaps and punches, she says, from her husband, James. This is, of course, of great concern to her family, and not only Lori, as we're saying, but also to her sister, Rosalind, who was trying to convince her sister to leave this man. And then there's Greg and Maureen, James's parents, who say they are simply ashamed of their son's violent behavior. I'd like to welcome you to the show today. I think it takes an awful lot of courage to do what you're doing. So, tell me, if you could, James, why? Why the beatings? Why the punches and slaps?
Sometimes I think people deserve it.
In what?
I don't know. Sometimes I think, you know, she does bring that on herself.
Can you give me an example of when?
Yeah, I can give you, we were in a supermarket one time, you know, and I wanted one type of cereal, and she threw something else in the cart, and I didn't think that was appropriate because I'm the man. So, you know,
And so?
No, what happened was she caught an attitude about it, and I caught an attitude about it, so she got slapped out of that. In the store.
In the store? In the store you slapped her?
In public, yeah.
So you not only slapped her, you also humiliated her.
Yeah, you can say that.
Lori?
Yes, I was embarrassed. We could have gotten both of the cereals, really, to avoid it. So.
Is this something that happens often? How often does he slap or punch you?
Well, recently it hasn't been at all since the drinking stopped, but before we got married, when we were just living together, it was like really bad because he would like stay out all night and I would say something about it and that would start it. So.
What are some other instances that will set James off? It just sounds like it doesn't take much when you talk about fighting over cereal.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
If she, you know, if she wants to go out with her friends or something, I don't see a problem with that, but some of her friends I don't approve of too much.
None of my friends.
Well, none of her friends.
Okay.
Like
Why
that.
don't you approve of her friends?
Because we are family, you know, and a lot of her friends aren't like family oriented. They're like single parents and they run around, they do what they want to do, and they pretty much, you know, they're single. They do nothing all day. Go to work, drink, go out, date people, date whoever they want. Why should she be with them when she should be home with me?
Do you think that when you slap her over things like a decision over cereal in a grocery store, that that's all right?
Yeah.
You don't see yourself as an abuser?
No, she deserved it. She caught an attitude with me, and I didn't think their attitude was necessary at that time.
Rosalind, you were...
I think that you do the things that you do to my sister only because you know that you can get away with it. For instance, if you knew that every time that you abused her, that there was going to be someone to retaliate and abuse you, or that if you was going to become incarcerated for any length of time, this would stop, you would think twice about it before you did it. Such as when you and her lived on Turl Avenue and you were acting like a nut. And when Bernard came over to the house, which is another man, and he confronted you about it, you didn't have anything to say to him. And he more or less disrespected you because he came to your house to tell you what not to do to my sister.
Rosalind, do you fear for your sister's life?
Yes, I do. A lot of times when domestic violence, which I was a victim also, when it happens, the person may not have intent at that moment to really kill you or really hurt you bad, but when you retaliate against what they're doing to you, you never know what may happen. You know, so if he and her are fighting, which the last incident, which was about a month ago, and she came over to my house and she had a bruise on her face. She has all these scratches where he dug into her arm and threw her on the floor. If she would have retaliated, when he threw her on the floor, she could have easily hit her head up against something, and she could have, you know, anything could have happened out of that, but he didn't intend to do it.
She retaliated, and that's why she got those bruises.
But do you think that you can just continue to beat her and that she's not supposed to do anything?
It's not like
Question
that.
from
Yes, it is. I mean,
no, if she wouldn't have threatened me, I wouldn't have punched her.
Okay, you go out and you stay all night because she's told me about it. This is something that bothers her. So if she does it, you're going to beat her, but if you do it, it's okay.
You don't live
Lori,
there.
why don't you
everything
leave?
She says. I live in the same house, so she
Okay.
says he's out all night. He's not out all night. You believe everything, okay?
Wait,
Okay,
wait.
irrelevant to whether he stays out all night or not.
Don't believe everything you're hearing. You don't live in the
He's
same
not
house.
her. I don't have to live in the
believe
same house. So I know my sister, and I
You don't believe everything you
I don't
hear.
have to believe it, but when I see that he's abused her, then I do believe it, and there's no reason for it. No matter what she does, he has no business to put his hands on her. No matter what she does.
From the audience here.
Hi, I don't know your name, I'm sorry, but have you seen,
James.
Have you seen The Burning Bed or heard about Lorraine Bobbitt?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta wake it up. You're gonna go to
familiar.
sleep one night and that's gonna be it. Sweet dreams.
I don't think
Something
so.
even worse.
I'm going to come back to you. Hold on one second. While Lori has to make a tough decision, I mean, part of the decision, and Lori, I know you're upset, sweetie. I know you're upset, darling. We're going to work through this, okay? Because this is an emotional issue. You're dealing with families. You're dealing with abuse. You're dealing with people who really love each other. We're going to try to break through this, okay? You may have to make a tough decision whether you stay with James or not, and that is going to be a tough decision. Many other women are deciding to leave abusive husbands, but how do you escape a life of abuse when you're just crippled with fear? Later in this show, we're going to have some answers for you. Stick with us. We'll continue talking about domestic violence.
Will the prosecution seek the death penalty for O.J. Simpson? Don't miss the next Rolonda from Los Angeles.
The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence tells us that 60% of men will batter a girlfriend or a wife at some point in their lives. 60%. That's very frightening. Lori, I know this is tough for you. Everybody's going back and forth screaming about you being abused, and you're sitting there saying nothing. Can you talk to me now? You're safe to talk here.
Yeah. I don't like it. I wish it doesn't have to happen, but it does happen.
But it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to, no.
Why do you not seek help? Why do you not leave James?
I have left a couple times, numerous times.
So why do you go back?
Because I love him, and I do want to be with him. I just don't like the beatings and getting cursed out and everything like that. But everything else is fine. Now that he stopped drinking everything is a lot better.
These are your parents, James, right? What do you say when you have your son? I mean, is this a sense of shame for you?
I'm definitely embarrassed. She and I don't physically fight.
We argue.
We argue, but the first thing you have to look at is for the last week, you've been accusing OJ basically of being a batterer, saying basically he killed his wife. Okay, they had an argument or two.
Sir, I'm not accusing anyone. There are documented proof that he was
he
having.
did batter his wife.
Okay,
but
so it's not my accusation.
The premises of this whole last week is around her dying. He may not have done it. Like I told her, don't believe everything you hear. We haven't heard what she's done to provoke him.
But I tell you what,
Nobody
we have,
said anything about
you know
her
something, Greg?
striking him first.
Greg,
Nobody's
hold on.
touched that.
Greg,
Nobody
in all
said
due
anything
respect,
about no statistics on how many times a woman batters a man. If you fire off on a man and get hit back, nobody touches that.
Greg, I understand that you're
I'm
probably
not trying
very
to protect him,
defensive
but I'm
because we're
trying
talking
to
about your
play
son.
both sides of the fence.
Okay, but what we're
Nobody,
playing...
you have all the
Greg,
statistics
excuse
on
me,
the amount
please.
of
Excuse me,
women.
sir. Greg, excuse me, sir. We are dealing with your son beating his wife right now. We are getting OJ out of this right now.
And why was the statistics of every 14 seconds and so forth and so on brought up about
15 seconds.
Okay, why not the
Every 15
statistics
seconds
on a man?
woman is beaten.
Why not the statistics on how often a woman batters a man?
Well,
Nobody looks into it. Nobody looks into
well,
it.
you know something, you know why?
That a
lot
woman
of times-
doesn't batter
Let
a
me
man.
answer this too.
Oh,
Let
well,
me
not
answer
batter, but at least strike.
Physically, but we're
At
talking
least
about
strike.
physical
At least
abuse.
strike.
Okay, I can say
At
things.
least strike.
We're talking
Okay,
about
not batter.
physical abuse, whereas he punched her in her face and she had a bruise on her face. She has a scar on her arm that she may carry. Where is he
Lori,
bruised?
have you ever punched Jimmy first?
But where is
Lori,
he
have you
bruised?
One at
punched
a
Jimmy
time.
first?
One at a time. Let's
That's not an issue.
Let Maureen say something.
Her hitting him isn't an issue at all.
Wait, can I set some ground rules here?
I don't hurt
We
him,
are
though.
here to bring some
whether you hurt him or not. If
Greg, may I
somebody
have
hits
your
me, I'm
attention,
taking them
please?
out. I'm not gonna wait to see if they're gonna hurt me.
Greg, may I have your attention, please? Let's make a deal, okay? Let's make a deal that this is no man's land. This is where you can come and be safe, and let's reach some understanding together. Let's don't argue about the point here, because there's some lives in jeopardy right now, and it is important that we do this show. Please don't argue with me and take me away from what is important to help me save a life right now. You understand?
No, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Well, then be quiet, okay? Maureen? Maureen, you are Greg's mother. And I'm sorry, James's mother. We see how his father relates to his big problem here. How are you as a mother dealing with this? How are you trying to save your daughter-in-law?
What I'd like to say, a couple things. First, it's very distressing. I can speak for my husband as well as myself to know that this goes on between the two of them. I love James. I love Lori. I don't think it should go on. Something I just want to point out, since Greg's gotten up and left, a point we've tried to make to them for a while, you can argue, you can disagree, that's fine. You don't have to put your hands on anybody. You don't have to touch anybody. Somebody should get up and walk away. If he can't come to agreement, I would rather that like he walked out, that's fine.
Has he ever hit you,
No.
Greg? Okay.
No.
So
we argue, and that's fine. We're adults, you can argue. This, it's not appropriate, not at all.
What scares me really is that there's so much going on here that we haven't heard Lori. There's everybody's arguing back and forth, defending James Dunn.
Why
And
is
who's
it so
listening to
one-sided,
Lori?
Can I ask you a question? Why is it so one-sided? Why is it that the man is always wrong?
Yeah, the point that I want to
Has Lori ever hit
look,
you?
Okay,
Yes.
she's hit me first, and then I don't hit her. Now, when she hits me and then I hit her, why am I wrong? You know, I'm just...
Because you're a man, you should be better than
But-
that.
say something?
Yeah.
I'm not going to defend him. When my son is wrong, he's on his own. The one thing I do want to say, now Roz does not, they live right near me, so Roz is not there. I'm there when the arguments start. Both of them are equally capable of picking. I mean, I've seen her pick. I'll say I've seen him do it too. They pick and pick and pick and pick. It's like they want, one or the other wants there to be some type of like big confrontation or blow up. I don't think it's right. I think you can go beyond that. You can talk to each other. The hitting is not necessary, but also I know a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, whatever it was, they were walking somewhere, he did something she didn't like, she punched him in the face. And I mean, You know, you have to remember that it's one, you know, it's not just one side. I'm not taking up for him, but they both have to know that it's not right. Man or woman, you do not fight with each other.
Well, I think I had a good reason for hitting her.
How do you untangle this web? I mean, later in this show, we're going to have someone come on who deals with families in crises like this, who might have some answers for us. And up next, also a woman who is running for her life while her boyfriend is running from the law. She says this is the boyfriend who shot her 3 times. We'll be right back after this commercial. Phone calls for those of you who are watching and want to jump in this conversation, because I don't know about you at home, but we here about to jump off the edge of our chairs. One person actually did, who left us. But we're trying to get a real good conversation here going, and I really want to stress, I know this is a sensitive issue, and I know there's yelling back and forth, but what we're really trying to do is understand a little bit more, to break this thing down and know the anatomy of abuse. And of course, as we always say, to try to save some lives, goodness knows. Caller, we have a caller coming in. We want to encourage you to call in. Caller, hello. What's your name and where you're from? Hello?
Hello, my name is Pete.
And where are you from, Pete?
I'm from Northern California.
Okay. Go on with your comment or question.
Yeah, this is for James. James, would you be willing to listen to what I have to say?
Yes.
Yeah, James, like I said, my name is Pete, and I'm a former batterer. I spent, at least the first 15 years of my former marriage being physically, verbally, and emotionally abusive to my family. And I heard you say some things that rang a bell, because I can literally relate to what you said, that, you made the statement real clear. I'm the man. When I say something, she's supposed to agree with it. And that's part of what I was taught through a program called Man Alive up in Northern California, is that my violence that I did to my family was the enforcement into that belief. As long as she goes along, as long as Lori says yes, do you have a problem with it? If you say, hey, I want this cereal, and she says, oh, okay, and she throws it in the basket, do you have a problem with that?
No, I don't.
What happens when she says no?
Then we talk about it.
Huh?
Then we talk about it.
What if she says no when you've talked about it?
Well, eventually we do come to some mutual agreement.
Well, what I heard you say, the agreement you came to,
and the agreement seems to be that Lori has to say yes.
No.
Where does Lori get validated as a person herself?
That's what we're trying to make better now.
From the audience.
I just wanted to say to Lori, I think everything starts from having a sense of self-love for yourself. If you feel better about you, you will not sit there and be abused by this man and just take whatever he has to say. If you felt better about yourself, you wouldn't feel the need to control and manipulate and abuse this woman. If you love somebody, you don't hurt them.
With us?
Yes.
First of all, I want to really say thank you for being so honest and giving us another side. Can you change this behavior? I mean, how did you reform from abusing?
Well, first of all, it took a significant period of time. It's not a quick fix. And I work from the perspective, I facilitate these classes in Northern California, in San Quentin, in jails, as well as on the streets.
What would you suggest that James do at this point?
I think James needs to look at what he's been taught, and I think he was taught it loud and clear from what I heard Greg say. Greg believes the same thing that I heard James say. I'm the man, and as the man, I run the household. And James, again, would you be willing to hear what I have to say?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, James, I got to ask a simple question. Do you love Lori?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you want to maintain this relationship?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Then you're going to have to take a look at that role that you've taken on as the man and start, I would support you to see your partner as an equal. It'll be probably the most difficult thing you do, and it'll be probably the thing that you do by yourself, because our communities don't see women as equals. We aren't taught to see our partners as an equal. We're taught to see our partners as a subordinate. And as long as she says yes, from what I can gather in your descriptions, when you came home drunk, if she just let it go and accepted it, nothing would have happened. But as soon as she puts out her voice and says, hey, this isn't okay, that's when hell comes together. It's not okay for her to say no. And I'd support you to start trying to find some programs in Southern California, find whatever works for you, to get with a group of people who say, wait a minute, man,
Yeah,
there's a way to do something
hold on a second, Northern California. James, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to get some help?
I don't think I have a problem that bad.
Okay.
No, I don't.
From the audience.
See?
James, do you live with your parents?
No, I live by myself.
Okay, that's good. Because I was under the impression that perhaps you live with your father from something that he said earlier. I see that your father is the first problem in your life. Something happened, and I know he's not going to like this, me saying this, and I'm going to be very careful when I leave.
We'll make sure you get out safely.
He's not
But
a wife abuser, so you can stop
it
right there.
has nothing to do with
Stop
wife
right
abuser.
there.
It has nothing. Are you the only child?
No, he's
No.
not.
It has nothing to do. You're biracial?
No.
Okay. There are problems, and I know from what I'm talking about, and that's another show too, so we don't have to talk about that.
But what is your point?
My point is that the father has been the one who has been saying, it's okay, you are a man. You and your father need to get some serious counseling first, and then perhaps you can take that to your wife, because your wife is totally upset. Look at her, she has no self-esteem. Look how she's sitting.
Come on.
Because domestic violence is all about power and control, and I see a lot of power and control issues with your father. Whether there's any physical violence or not, it is learned behavior. Men who are raised in violent homes, if you're male, you're at high risk to be a perpetrator. If you're female, you're at high risk to be a victim.
I don't know what.
Can I make a point? Go on, quickly.
What I'd like to say is this. The thing is, could somebody give him a little bit of credit? I'm not trying to defend him, but I think he's making a step if he's here saying that there is a problem. So could somebody give him some credit?
That's true. Okay, all right, we'll take a break. But you got to give the man credit for coming on national television admitting that he slaps people around. You got to give him credit for that. Okay, all right. Picture this. If all the women victimized by domestic violence in this country in 1 year were to join hands in a line, do you know that the string of people would span from New York to Los Angeles and then back again? How loud do these women have to scream before we listen to them? We'll talk about that when we return.
I beg you to be my wife, my wife.
Did I say you could go out?
No, but...
What?
No, I'm sorry.
Did I?
To love, to cherish,
I'd like to help you, ma'am, but I didn't witness any crime.
for better, for worse.
Why do you provoke me?
Your father and I think you should try to work out your differences.
Till death do us part. Don't ever leave me, because I'll kill you.
Is this hitting too close to home? Find out how you can help end the abuse.
Paramount Pictures presents...
My name's Forrest Gump. People call me Forrest Gump.
The story of a man...
Are you stupid or something? Stupid is, stupid does, sir.
...who was good at just one thing. Life. Tom Hanks.
I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
Forrest Gump. Rated PG-13. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
I couldn't feed my kids on my old salary. I needed more money.
I was in a dead-end job, but now I have a great career.
I needed the kind of money professionals make.
They went to the National Education Center. If you're out of a job or just need a bigger paycheck, get the training you need to get into the job market fast. Call now for this brochure. It could be the most important call you ever make.
For a brochure, call 1-800-722-7337.
He just joined O.J.'s legal team. Now, what will the defense strategy be? Will O.J. ever take the stand? Hear what attorney Johnny Cochran has to say only on the next Inside Edition.
Tonight at 6 on Channel 9.
If you're going to be in the New York area and would like free tickets to Rolonda, please call us at 212-650-2060. Welcome back, everybody. We're live from Los Angeles once again today as our week-long coverage of issues coming out of the O.J. Simpson case continue. We're talking today about domestic violence, and it has gotten to be quite a heated conversation. Greg, I want to welcome you back to the set as we continue discussing your family and some of the troubles that you're having with abuse. Let me introduce to you our next guests who know all too well what this past family we've been talking to is going through. Penny Dunn says that soon after she walked down the aisle promising to love, honor, and cherish, her dreams of living happily ever after with her man were shattered. She says her husband jumped on her and beat her, knowing that she was pregnant with his baby. He is going to be arraigned next month. Then there's Cassandra Finley. She is a survivor. She says her man beat her, tortured her, choked her, threatened her, and then hit her over the head with a gun. And still she says the Chicago Police Department would do nothing about it. Finally, she got a protection order against him, but that, she says, is when things only got worse. She says that her ex-boyfriend stalked her and would eventually shoot her 3 times, leaving her for dead. Ladies, you have incredible courage. Incredible courage. Cassandra, how do you go day to day? How do you live through this?
Mainly, I can't sleep. It's more like I try to get over it. You know, I feel better if he's caught.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a cycle that I'm just going through right now, I guess, you know.
How did it happen? How did it lead up to the shooting? Tell me what your life was like, what you were going through living with this man.
Well, mostly it was years of abuse, running from it, then ending up having no one else to go to and back. Until it's more like things just got worse. So I left him alone, then things got worse. He began to jump on me almost every time he saw me, even if my children were around. And I got an order of protection, and then I was following up on court days and everything, and he walked up on me at a grocery store and had shot me 3 times, which he shot me in my face, had knocked out, when he shot me in my face, it knocked out several of my teeth, put 4 holes in my tongue, shot me in my left arm, shot me in my abdomen, which put 4 holes in my stomach, and I still have a bullet lodged too close to my spine to remove. It took the police 43 days to come and interview me to even try to capture this man. This man is still on the run right now. I'm in hiding right now, you know. I'm with Project Protect. They're treating me very nice. You know, they're helping me cope with what's been going on in my life and everything, you know, helping me cope with my children and everything.
Okay, let me show that Terrence Kirksey is the man who did this to Cassandra. He is 23 years old, he is 6'1", he weighs about 165 pounds. Go to your television, look at this face. If you see this man anywhere, stop watching this program, go to the telephone, call the nearest police, because he's on the run and this woman is scared for her life. We're going to show this shot. We're going to find Terrence, hopefully. If you've seen the man, please call police. Once they find him, what do you want to see happen to him?
I wish, for starters, I wanted him out of my life in the first place. I only asked them just to take him away at least until the next court date so that me and my children can be safe until they can get something done so that this man can stay away from me. I just hope that if they catch him, they give him enough time so that I can just get away and start a whole new life with raising my children, because that's what he's tried to stop me from doing.
What effect has this had on your children?
For starters, both of my children, they fight each other. They fight all day long. And then they turn to be so sweet, because that's the kind of man that I met him when he was sweet. And then he got brutal. I have a son right now, he fights and fights and fights, then he gets so sweet. And I have a daughter, she fights and fights, then she gets so sweet.
So these are 2 potential abusers. Is that what you're afraid of?
You know, right. I don't want that to happen to them as they're getting older. You know, I'm trying to stop them. You know, they don't calm down, I guess, since they haven't been, you know, really, my son hasn't been around him, you could say months. I had kept my son away from him because he would use my son to get to me.
Let me ask, Penny, this all sounds familiar to you, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely.
You still scared right now?
Absolutely.
Tell me what happened. Who was this man in your life?
Well, we were married for 9 years. In the beginning, everything was great. And of course, then I had my daughter a year later, and that's when it all went bad. I couldn't go anywhere. I had to stay home. I had to leave my job. He wouldn't permit me to work. And then 2 years later, I had my son. Well, before I had my son, I went to a bachelorette party, and he's a very jealous person. There's a male stripper there, which plenty of people see, you know. I mean, that's no big deal. And
he didn't take too kindly to your looking at him.
No, he didn't. I ended up with 2 black eyes, a lacerated lip, approximately 12 to 14 bruises all over my entire head, from my forehead all the way into my hairline. And of course I was pregnant, so I had x-rays, but of course they could only do partial. I had bruises all over my entire body.
When we come back, I want all of you ladies to tell us what happened when you called out for help. Was there any place to go when your screams were heard in the night? How did the neighbors react? What can we do to help you? We're going to talk about those kind of things when we come back. I know, Cassandra, you mentioned Project Project Protect. And coming up next, well, you might call this lady, I know you probably do, an angel of mercy. This lady, when it comes to battered women, that's what they call her, an angel of mercy. She's going to give us some direction on what we can do to protect ourselves and our families from domestic violence. She might even have some words of wisdom of what we can do as good friends and family people and people in the community, what we can do to help this situation, because you know it takes us all. We all have to do something. We'll also take your calls when we come back. Live today from Los Angeles as we continue our week-long coverage of America talking about the issues surrounding the O.J. Simpson case. Today we're talking about domestic violence, and we encourage you, if you're out there listening, pick up the phone and call the number on your screen and join us. We're having quite a discussion. Our next guest says that 10 women a day die as a result of domestic violence. Her mother was one of them. After growing up terrorized by watching the abuse, Susan Murphy Milano decided to dedicate the rest of her life to helping victims like her mother, like Cassandra, like Penny, like Laurie, and like so many millions of others, right, Susan? Millions of other women. This is a 2020 followed Susan on one of her rescue missions, as you just saw there. You saw Susan and her security guard helping a woman and her children hide out in a friend's house. A major part of Susan's program, which is called Project Protect, as we mentioned earlier, involves relocating abused women to safe havens. Welcome, Susan, first of all. You're working with Cassandra right now, is that right?
Yes.
You have helped her do everything from relocate to hide to help her when this man is on the run
and
to
had
get her
her
life.
mother not seen us on television that night while she was recuperating the day before from the gunshot wound, she would have never have known that we existed.
Wow.
And we were able to go in right away, place security guards at the door because she was receiving phone calls and the family was receiving death threats.
Wow.
She's been in hiding since the middle of April.
Susan, when women come to you, what do you see in that person who runs through the door to you?
I don't want them to wind up like my mother. I don't want them to wind up like the countless others of women who die every day. We don't take this as a crime. The first time you hit, it is against the law. And everybody must realize that because it escalates.
Can you repeat that one more time? Listen to this.
The first time you hit, it is a crime, and it must be treated as such. When those officers respond to your home, they must arrest. They must treat it as a crime, just like someone on the street that you don't know. There is no difference.
Hold on one second.
If that was the case...
And I think that he should have listened to the man who called on the telephone. I think that that program, I know it is a very good program, and I encourage him to make that phone call.
And that program, once again, the name of it?
It was Man Alive, I believe.
Man Alive, it was Man Alive. A program for men who are battered women can go and get help. James, you wanted to respond.
If that was the case, it wouldn't be one man sitting in this audience.
Well, maybe there shouldn't be if you're hitting.
Well, too many women...
Maybe there shouldn't be if you're hitting.
So it's not a crime if a woman hits me?
It's a difference.
It is a crime.
Why is there a difference?
It's a difference.
We both people, right?
Wait a minute, it's a difference.
Why is it a difference?
It's a difference because, for the simple fact, a woman, for starters, we have women out there that abuse men, but the men take it so that they just do it just to do it. And it's, you know, it's all right to argue. try to talk things out. It's just always fighting and hitting, then it gets brutal, and then it gets better.
Can I
and
make a
worse,
point here too? Let me say this, James, and anybody else who's taken the position that we're not talking about women hitting men. Yes, there are men who are battered by women. There's no question about it. But we don't have a lot of men who come forward and talk about that. It's the exact same thing why a lot of women don't come out and say, I am being abused. It is hard to talk about. And that's why we're talking about it. You're a brave man. You are here talking about the fact that you are slapping your wife around. I give you a lot of credit for that. You've said that you might want to have some help. Maybe Man Alive will help change you. But the bottom line is domestic violence is something that people don't talk about. So we're going to talk about it because people are dying and we have to.
Men who beat up on other women are cowards. That's why they beat up women. Men will not beat up other men. That's the difference. That's why we put protective agents in women's homes across the country, because they won't beat up or hurt that individual who's in
Susan,
that
are
house.
you at all encouraged by the fact that James has at least come on the show?
I'm more encouraged by the fact that they're both here, that they both need assistance. They both do.
From the audience.
I think that, James, you're part of a culture that espouses that the man should be the dominant partner, pretty much still. And, but you also need to realize that a part of that same enculturation process is that you live in a society where violence is not condoned. It's not condoned between men on men or men on women or women on women at all. And that's a part of your culture, just as you accept the one part.
I've got to take a quick break. You're going to have to make your point real quickly when we come back, okay? All right. We'll be right back in just a moment.
This is not about O.J. Simpson. This is about abuse against women.
And that just, if you go down to the courthouse right now in Los Angeles, you will probably hear those chants today. Let me just point out, James, for you, we ran out and got some research for you so we can bring this to you. 5% of women batter men. That's from the Bureau of Justice statistics. And we understand that there are about 250,000, what was that, 250,000 men who have been battered in this nation that we know of. So that is your statistic, so you know that. But the other side is that 60% of men, they believe at some point, will batter. So the discrepancy is different, and maybe it's because men are not coming out talking about it. So I appreciate your comment, but, you know, that's just that. Okay, continue with it very quickly, what you wanted to say.
So I was saying that if you continue with this behavior, you can wind up in jail very easily. You don't have to follow, the jails are filled with people that don't follow the stereotype of starting out, getting incarcerated as young children, then growing up to more and more, becoming more and more of a criminal. Jails are full of people that start out just like you. They're in like an innocent situation, and you might not be as upset as you've normally been when you've beaten her, and you wind up in jail and your life is over. So that's something you need to, you know.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Not worth it. Okay. Penny, whatever, go on. Thank you. Whatever happened to your husband who was beating you?
Well, he's incarcerated right now for a probation violation. They want to plea bargain my case, my battery and my intimidation cases, invasion of privacy. From my understanding, they want to plea bargain it out, and he's going to do 6 months, which will be time served next month.
Are you afraid?
You're darn right, I'm afraid.
What has that...
He's carried through with every threat he's ever made.
How do you go day to day with the fear? How do you live? How has that affected your life?
In my town, which is Indiana, we have a person in the jail that will contact me immediately upon his release. And then I have to disappear.
Okay. Are you okay? Are you over here just crying? What are you crying about?
She's my sister.
That's your sister? Oh, sweetheart. Oh, come on. Is there anything that you think that America should know about domestic violence, what a family goes through, what...
Well, family goes through a lot.
Come on, stand up. Do you mind standing up talking to me? Come on.
Family goes through a lot. I think if the courts and the police took the first hit as the first crime and prosecuted, they'd get these wonderful women out of this because she's a wonderful person.
These are your sisters, these are your mothers, these are your wives, these are your people in your community across this country, and we all have to get involved.
Susan, when we come back, can you tell us ways that we can help? Because God, can you tell us what we can do?
Yes.
We'll be right back in a minute.
Sorry.
Members are affected, but I think all of us get affected in something like this, especially if you've got a friend who might be going through domestic violence situation. I mean, many of us who aren't in the situation still need to be aware. Susan, for Penny's sister here who is so concerned, what do you say? What are things that people can do in this situation? Not only the victims themselves, but those of us who know they're being victimized.
Family have to support the individual going through this. In a sense, they're going to have to live like victims or like people in jail, but obtain certain safeties in your home. Put internal door jams in there. Get a portable phone, so if the phones are ripped out of the wall, you can make that phone call. Let people know. Have a code word when something's wrong. Have your curtains in your home drawn a certain way.
Wait a minute, let's go back to that code word, because what I remember you said in our research is that have a word like cantaloupe, that you scream so the neighbors know you're in trouble. You know, that he doesn't know what that code word is, but they know to come running. Hide extra keys in the car,
Take the keys, put them in the ashtray, put them next to the windshield so that you can run out. Let people know when you get that order of protection. Take it to the police department. Make sure that it's on the computer, because a lot of times it's not. Let your coworkers know. Don't answer surveys. Don't take gifts. Don't, if somebody calls because you just moved somewhere, maybe he's trying to find out where you are. There are things that you have to do. You can call us. We can send you a descriptive list of what to do, because if we give it on the air, then he's going to know our secrets.
That is Project Protect. I think we have to take a break now, right? We'll be right back in a minute. Okay.
This is a 9 News special report.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kerry Kilbride. The man who was with O.J. Simpson during that infamous car chase had a date in court this afternoon. For the very latest on what happened, let us now go to Bill Gephardt live at the Criminal Courts building in downtown Los Angeles.
Kerry, as expected, Al Collins will be kept in suspense. Prosecutors, as expected, say they need more time to decide whether or not they should file aiding and abetting charges against Al Collins for that famous 60-mile slow-motion chase back on June 17th. Just a half hour ago in municipal court, you see there, the prosecutors said they are not ready to file charges against Al Collins. Collins' attorney is disappointed that the case will be kept hanging over his client's head. Prosecutors have 3 years now to decide whether or not to file the aiding and abetting charges. Collins' attorney reacted to the question of whether or not prosecutors are just trying to pressure Collins to testify against O.J.
Now, I want to make something very, very clear. There is no pressure for AC to assist the district attorney in prosecuting O.J. The reason for that is that there is no reason to believe that anything that AC says would hurt O.J. In fact, AC's testimony would only help O.J. So there certainly is no reason to believe that the district attorney is trying to get AC to cooperate. They are not trying to get AC to cooperate.
Okay, so here's the latest on Cowlings. No charges filed against him. Prosecutors say they need more time to investigate. The $250,000 bond is released, and there are no more court dates for Cowlings set today. Now, earlier today, O.J. Simpson himself was in the courtroom here, a different courtroom. September 20th, before Judge Ito, is the date for trial, his double murder trial. The defense wanted an earlier September 3rd date. They settled for September 20th. O.J.'s attorneys told Judge Ito they want any information from prosecutors on a so-called mystery witness, maybe a burglar or a prowler who was in the area of Nicole Simpson's home at the time, that they say would help show that there were multiple assassins and maybe help to find that he was innocent, that is, O.J. was innocent. We'll see what happens there. Again, that we're expected back in court at least on September 20th, but we're also expected back in court on August 9th to see whether or not defense and prosecutors are getting along. I'm Bill Gephardt reporting live from down at the Criminal Courts Building.
Okay, Bill, thank you. We'll, of course, have more on the Alec Cowlings case and O.J. Simpson's court appearance this morning. Tonight, live at 7. That is going to do it for now. I'm Kerry Kilbride. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
This has been a special report from 9 News. We now join our regular program schedule.
I'd like you to meet Donna Lawson. Donna Lawson is the mother of one of the many victims in this nation of domestic violence who will not live to tell you their story. Donna, you've listened to this whole show, and I know that you wanted to say something.
My daughter was murdered June 11th, 93, shot and dead on the way to school. What I would like you to know is we do have laws, but we need mandatory protocol to make them use these laws.
They have to take this seriously, is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah, I called the police many times. I ended up sitting on my sofa with an overstuffed chair at each door to keep this character out with a gun in my lap all night.
Oh, gosh.
Police never responded.
Okay. I think that this show has certainly, Donna, awakened a lot of people. Let me also make this point really quick. Take some donations down to your local shelter because they're overcrowded right now. We'll see you Monday on Rolonda.
Thank you so much for tuning in to my YouTube channel. Please tell your friends and go back and check out some of the other OJ coverage and the many other shows from the Rolonda era. Thanks so much, and follow me on Twitter at Rolonda Watts and on Instagram and on Facebook at Rolonda Fan Page. Thanks so much.